Maddox sidestepped into the room. The light from the hallway penetrated only a few feet. A few shafts of errant sunbeams filtered down from overhead. Clouds of dust danced in the spotlights. The room was small, square, and furnished with a decaying couch, an overturned ottoman, and an ancient cathode ray television set on a cart. A naked, feminine figure was perched on the television, toes curled over its edge like a bird's talons, feet arched. Leaning forward, her emaciated body shook as she brought a lit cigarette to her lips, sucked at it, and exhaled the smoke through her nostrils. Her eyes were glassy and unfocused. Tears streamed down her face. "Hey, you Bobby?" Maddox stepped closer. No doubt it was the same woman he's seen down the hall from Vance Turing's apartment. Unclothed, her small body seemed even more withered, the contour of each rib visible beneath her stretched skin, her hips protruding like fins. He didn't want to get any closer. "Yeah, I'm Bobby." "You are?" she said, her voice squeaking. The tears intensified, drenching her face. "He said you'd come. I heard him say it, but I didn't think—" Maddox slid a hand into his pocket and around the grip of the pistol. "Who said I'd come?" "The guy," she said, jumping down from the television. She landed with her knees bent at odd angles, as if her legs could no longer support normal posture. "The one with the dead baby face." Maddox stepped back. "Dead baby face?" She snorted, possibly a laugh, and wiped her nose with the back of her hand when a mucus bubble inflated from her right nostril. "He's got regular faces, a lot of them, but only when he thinks you're looking." Her voice turned into a whisper. "He doesn't know I peek sometimes. I see him. You ever see a fetus in a jar at the circus? That pale, unfinished face like clay. That's him." The gun felt small and ineffectual in Maddox's hand. "But if he knows I'm looking, sometimes he's got my daddy's face," she said as an expression of shame and guilt washed over her. "Other people too, first-grade teacher. The woman that delivers milk to the store on the corner. Once he looked just like Jesus on the television." "Why are you here?" he asked. "Don't you live in Nyack?" She shook her head. "You're silly, a silly man." Maddox asked, "Why am I silly?" She spread her hands out wide. "Where do you think we are, Bobby, silly man?" She stepped up to him, her body pushing up against him as she stared up into his eyes. The smell of body odor and halitosis drifted up to his nose. "You don't know, do you? We're in Nyack. This is my place." "Doesn't matter," she said, stepping back and away. "You're here now, and I can give you what he wants you to have. Then maybe he'll leave me alone. I'm so tired." He tightened his grip on the gun. "He gave you something for me?" "Yeah," she said, walking to the far side of the room. Her curved backbone crackled as she walked, vertebrae shifting, aligning, and dislodging. "I keep it hidden in my safe place." Maddox followed her into a second room, keeping a careful distance between them, his eyes focused on her feet. Should she suddenly turn and lunge at him, he'd have warning. He hoped it'd be enough. Moving past a tower constructed of dresser drawers, the thin woman pointed to the corner of the room. The ceiling had collapsed. Wooden beams, drywall, and firewall brick cascaded down in a chaotic mound. Without hesitating, she scurried up the debris, climbing even as the structure shifted beneath her feet, until she disappeared into the room above. Dust sprinkled down. Maddox covered his mouth and nose. He waited, listening to the sounds of the woman moving overhead, like hearing a mouse move inside the walls. The woman reappeared, climbing down the scrap heap with one hand. She cradled a shoebox in the other. As she reached the floor, she turned and handed it to Maddox. He paused, not wanting to release the gun before taking the box from her. He moved into a shaft of sunlight. A stray pellet of rain struck his face. "He told me to make sure you got it, but that I couldn't open it up, not even a quick peekaboo," she giggled. "Said he'd do me right wicked if I did, something worse than he done to the others. Don't know what, but I believe him." Maddox took the lid off the box. It was full of ribbons, each inscribed with a name. The one on top read Persephone. There were dozens of ribbons, dozens of names. Maddox closed the box. "Did he say why he wanted me to have this?" She jutted her chin out and smiled. He never tells me much. If you really wanted to know, you should have asked him yourself when you had the chance. Maddox studied her face. Insane, yes, but there was no deceit in her eyes. If anything, she looked relieved, as if finally reaching the end of a long journey. When would I have asked him? Oh, right, she said with a shrug. That hasn't happened yet.